Thank you, man. We finally got that done right. Appreciate it. All right. Well, everyone, welcome and glad you're here to join us for our New England Barrel Company virtual tasting. Just a few reminders. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. Tyler's going to be handling a lot of those, moving them forward. At the end, we'll open up the forum for everyone to ask questions live. Um, but yeah, enjoy yourself. Please keep it on mute. But yeah, Tyler will move things forward. We'll let you know if you're going to have a live question or not. Um, but I'd like to introduce James Saunders, the president and founder of New England Barrel Company. Thank you for joining us, sir.
I'm definitely pleased to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right. So, please tell us, like, how long have you been existent? How in existence? How long have you been doing this, and how'd you get started?
So we're just over 5.5 years old, or closing in on 5.5 years. So this was I call this my COVID project that turned into like my second career. So I've been full time in New England Barrel Company since 8 months after founding the company. So the last like 4.5 plus years, this has just been like what I've been doing. It started off as a passion project, right? So if you guys think back to COVID. Obviously, like a lot of people were hopping into the bourbon hobby, right? I still call it the hobby. I'm a consumer first, always have been, always will be. Um, but a lot of people were hopping into it, and I was always the whiskey guy, right? Like even back then, I was, my God, 10 years into the space at that point, about 16 years into the space now. But I had buddies who were just like discovering bourbon. It was like the nectar of the gods. They just found it.
Hmm.
And I was FaceTiming with a bunch of dudes between the ages of like 38 and like 55 all over the country. And they're showing me the local liquor store shelves. And I'm seeing a lot of things that I would consider to be questionable whiskey, right? Especially at the price points, right? So they were picking up bottles and it was like 2 year old, 80 proof craft distilled stuff for like $80. And I'm like, there's no way that I can confidently tell you to spend your money on this when there are things that are a lower price, like Wild Turkey 101, Rare Breed, what have you, that I thought were better pours for them. And even if they were like game to play with like Cask Strength, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, and like a few others were the ones that I would always point them towards. By this point, I had been working with my local whiskey community in the Boston area, with barrel picks. I'm a part of an awesome whiskey group, Honor Among Thieves Bourbon. And I started buying cask of single grain and single malt Scotch and Irish back in 2016. So, like with all of that, I kind of just like said, hey, for my local friends, wouldn't it be awesome if I leveraged a lot of the connections I had and like just create a brand where we would be able to source awesome barrels of whiskey and offer it up at reasonable prices just here in our local market here in New Hampshire. We did that, and that was what the plan was. Massachusetts called, we expanded, and then we just kept expanding from there. So it was like a labor of love, a passion that turned into something that I was actually able to do full time, and I'm very thankful for that because it was primarily driven by the connections and the trust that I've been able to build in the bourbon community, again as a consumer and a hobbyist and enthusiast.
That's a big leap. That's great.
Oh, it
So,
was. That definitely was. It
yeah,
was a fun conversation with my wife.
I don't know if I'd win that one. So good for you. So who kind
What'd
of
you do
mentored you
prior?
or inspired you?
What was that?
Go ahead, Todd.
I'm sorry. What'd you do prior to this?
So enterprise IT sales with the last 10 years focused in cybersecurity.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So for those of you who might be in the Bay Area, like a lot of the companies that are on the Mount Rushmore of like the cybersecurity, in the cybersecurity space had the opportunity to work for them and be like an early employee for what were startups at the time.
Hmm.
Wow. It's completely different than what you're doing now.
Yeah, but one of the cool things is, and this is why I talk to like I say to all my friends who are still in the space, right? I don't worry about end of quarter and chasing POs. I worry about that next bottle we're cracking and the fun that we're having.
Nice.
Awesome.
So who kind of mentored you or inspired you, or who do you kind of mold your taste after?
So one of the things that I kind of take pride in is being trying to be as unique as possible, right? So Everyone's palate's different, but for our core products, I actually rely on the New England Barrel Company community to sort of act as that palate check for me, right? So my palate, like I think I have a good one, but it's not the best, right? And God forbid my palate's off. We're still small enough that like one bad release could tank the company, right?
Mm,
So for our core products, when I'm doing batches or I'm doing like a limited release or something along those lines, I actually invite members of the community in to taste through the final couple of iterations blind to make sure that we're putting out what makes the most sense. But with that being said, just being in the space and getting to know a ton of folks, like one of the guys I reach out to pretty consistently is Justin Aiden. He was the head distiller over at Valentine Distilling in Detroit. Mayor Pingree is the primary brand out of there. Justin
mhm,
is now the head blender at Stranahan's. He is someone who is younger than me that I absolutely look up to, right? He is a wealth of knowledge and literally able to answer every question that I've ever asked him. And he does it like not just like in a timely manner, but like he sees a text, he's like, "Oh, you're dealing with this issue. This is the answer," and he has the answer, right? Without even like seeing the problem. If I need to show him physically like the problem, he's like, "Yeah, FaceTime me, and like let's figure it out." Right. So
mhm,
Justin's definitely one of those guys. And then just like there's an entire community of just like craft distillers who are actually distilling that are doing really, really cool things, bringing back heritage grains and like different yeast strains, like those folks, other NDPs I mentioned, like prior to hopping on here, forward slash out of Orlando with Michael Buffa and his partner Nick. They're doing really cool things, and we have a very similar sourcing, blending, and finishing methodology in terms of how we just work with whiskey and the way we respect the base spirit and want that to always shine through, regardless of if we're finishing it or like if we're blending, wanting to make sure that we're doing it the right way
mhm,
and we're not if we're releasing something proof down, we're not like rapid proofing it so that it doesn't come together properly for the end consumer, you know? And we also believe that if something does break, we won't release it. Like
mm,
they're what's funny is when you finish, you never want to finish just one barrel, right? Like if I'm gonna finish in a barrel, like I want to have like at least 4 to 6 of those barrels, right? Because one of those barrels, like it's gonna be bad. Like the actual physical barrel is gonna be bad. And if you're putting all your eggs in one basket, you're going to have a pretty crappy basket, right? So I want to make sure that I'm giving us the best opportunity to release the best product, and sometimes that means holding back stuff that just doesn't work, right? And like having the conviction to say, hey, yeah, it's a financial risk, but like, why as a consumer would I want to buy something that the person making it isn't 100% behind, right? So like I'll sit on stuff like the forward slash guys will as well. If it doesn't make sense to put out, we won't. And that's something that is a breath of fresh air, I think, in this space, where over the last like 5 6 years, people have just been chasing, as many sales as they possibly can.
yeah. We respect that, man, because we've definitely passed on some barrel picks that are popular and big names that we're like, that's not our flavor. And so, um, well, let's try your juice. So our first one is going to be our small batch 100 proof bourbon. That's going to be our first pour. So let's crack this guy open.
So yep, our first four are going to be our core
Cheers.
products. So yeah, definitely starting with the 100 proof makes sense. Um, Both of our bourbons are different blends of Kentucky bourbon, and so transparency is definitely one of the big founding like tenets of the company. I always wanted to know where stuff was sourced from, if it was sourced. Wanted to know yeast strains, mash bills, age statements. As far as I'm concerned, is part and parcel to everything. Like that, like bare minimum. Like I think every bottle should have an age statement, but TTB disagrees with me. But I think every bottle should. So this is a blend across three different distilleries. You have Beam, you have Barton, and you have OZ Tyler. They go by Green River now.
Hmm.
So this is a Kentucky bourbon blend. And again, I think it's important to point out that this, like when you get to the cask strength bourbon, core bourbon, these are different blends. right? So a lot of folks will make one master blend and then put it out at a lower proof and then put it out at cask strength or at a higher proof.
Mm.
I don't think you can effectively blend. This is a religious conversation in space. I don't think you can blend the same blend and have it be optimized for a lower proof and for cask strength. I think it's virtually impossible.
Okay. I see this as minimum 3 years.
Yep, yep. That will change as we move into 2026. We started to lay down some barrels back in 22. So as those mature, this will become a minimally age-stated 4-year product. And and while we don't have to put age statements on anything 4 years and above, again, I think it's important for the consumer to understand what they're getting. So
Mhm.
being able to say, hey, this is at least 4 years old, to me is important.
So you're saying this is coming out of Kentucky. Where are you aging it? Where are you storing it?
Yep. So for these barrels, the vast majority of these barrels stay in their home distilleries until we're ready to bring them up. So typically, I do intake of barrels 3 to 4 times a year, and normally when I'm pulling barrels up, I'm planning to use them over the course of the next 6 to 9 months. So it's really important for me to have the whiskey stay in the distillery and in the rick houses where they were meant to be, right? Until I need to pull them up. And then when I pull them up, they're stored between Reading, Massachusetts, where our distillery is, and Dover, New Hampshire, where I have some additional storage space with a distillery that I work with.
Okay. Yeah, Brian was saying it's a great nose. This is really easy to sip on for 100 proof. This feels really approachable.
Yeah, I mean, like I always say that our 100 proof products are our beginner to intermediate like offerings, right? They're for people who are moving past, this like the standard 80 proof, like
Hmm.
ubiquitous whiskey. And for people that want the whiskey to also shine through a little bit when it comes to, the cocktail that they're making as well, right? I am very leery ordering, an old fashioned like just off the menu because I know what it's gonna be made with.
Yeah.
And I want that whiskey to shine through. So I typically, go for something a little higher proof when I'm at a bar to make the cocktail more pleasing to me. And then I've been known to make my Manhattans with cask strength rye,
Well
which
done.
leads to the ability to only drink like two or three of them in a night.
Hmm.
But I definitely enjoy them a whole heck of a lot more than, like a standard 80, 86 proof rye.
And I appreciate the cost of this bottle. I saw on your website, $29. I mean, that's something you definitely can put in a cocktail.
So this one should be 36.99 on the
Oh, okay.
website.
Maybe it was the
Yeah,
wrong one. I was
right.
looking at that.
Oh no, it's all good. Like again, like in when I came up in this hobby, right? Again, I'll call it the hobby. It was a lot of bottles that are now in that like 50 to $60 range. They were 22 to $25, right?
Hmm.
Like and the whiskey really hasn't changed. Like the economics of whiskey haven't changed like dramatically, right?
Yeah.
Especially for bigger brands because they're buying grains on futures, they have future contracts on barrels, they're locking in their pricing long term. Yes, labor costs increase, but and the cost of marketing increases obviously. But the actual cost to make whiskey really hasn't changed a ton.
Mm.
So it always annoyed me, and this was another reason why I started the company. I was able to go from 80 proof to cask strength for sub $60, right, when I came in, right?
Mhm.
And my first cask strength bourbon was Booker's. And I think it was a lot of people's, right? Because it wasn't like 10, 12 years ago, there wasn't a lot of cask strength on the market. And hardly anyone was going buying Booker's because it was like 125, 126 proof. Like, who wants to drink that fire, right?
Us.
I raised my hand and said me, right? But as we moved into 2020, into 2021, and as the like bourbon began to take off and grow, we started to see a lot of those like stalwarts on the shelf begin to increase their prices. And I'm like, again, to me that made no sense. So being able to offer our small batch at 36.99 and being able to offer our cash strength at 56.99 up until the middle part of last year, we were in all the markets that we had distribution for core cash strength product, we were the only product below $60. Every single market,
Mm.
right? So if I can do that at our size and our scale, I don't understand why the big boys can't.
Yeah.
right? Like that doesn't make any sense to me, right? I'm literally one dude with a company who's putting whiskey into a bottle one day, cleaning the bathrooms the next, and operating the forklift the third day, right? If I could figure this out, then the big boy should be able to as well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's real.
How many
Um,
how many barrels go into the small batch?
It all depends. It all depends, right? So for this one, we had 28 barrels, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Okay.
And then for the small batch select, this is where now having our own space, it gets really, really fun, right? Before I was operating in a distillery where I was contracting our production, right? So I was able to manage the blending and like do all of that, but I had another team deal with the day to day. So one of the cool things, and arguably, again, this is a religious conversation in this space, the best way to marry whiskey, in my opinion, and the best way to even proof whiskey down, it's in the barrel, right?
mm,
So now what we're doing for all of our products is we're putting a light blend on, like once we figure out what the final blend is going to be, put a light blend on, then we recask it. And if it's one of our proof down products, like our 100 proof small batch bourbon or a small batch rye, we proof it down in the barrel. So our batches become smaller because we do we end up using the equivalent of like 2 or 3 barrels, full barrels worth of whiskey. But we're beginning to proof those down, so I have 3 or 4 batches going at any given time, right? So that once that first one's done, that second one is just continuing to work its magic in the barrel, marrying if it's at cask strength, like and slow proofing it down, if we're proofing it down and letting it just like that added water just interact with the wood and pull as much of it as much of that profile out as possible and really round it all out, right? So being able to like do all that stuff, like I think a small batch should truly be a small batch, right? I never want to get to the point where our small batches are above like 12,000 bottles, and we are far from that from a batch standpoint. But like right now, we're hanging out in that 600 to 1,000 bottle batch size, which I think is perfectly fine for us. And again, we have multiple going at the same time, so when we need to go and bottle more, we can, right?
mhm.
That just means that if like that third batch was marrying for an extended period of time, which only makes the whiskey better.
Typically, how long do you leave it after you blend it?
So, for our cash strength, we're talking about somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 weeks, right? If we have to like bottle immediately, we're talking about 4 weeks. But again, now that we have the ability to let it sit for an extended period of time, I have like our cash strength bourbon and our 100 proof bourbon blends for Q4 already blended, and then in Q3 I'm gonna begin the process of proofing down our small batch, right?
Mm.
So they're marrying right now a cask strength, and they're just going to hang out for an extended period of time until we're ready to go. But that's one of the cool things about being in our own space and being able to control our production soup to nuts.
All right. So we're going to move on here to our second pour of the night. This is our 100 proof small batch rye whiskey. This is also a minimum of 3 years. Let's give this a try.
So being completely honest, I'm more of a rye guy than a bourbon guy, right?
Okay, so our test is always Bob. We have a buddy on here, his name Bob. I'm not sure if he's on yet, but he is not a rye guy. And so we always kick it over to Bob at this point, like, hey, what do you think, Bob? But yeah, you're New England, so that's the rye country area up there.
Yep. So rye was what I wanted to start the company with, but looking at the way whiskey sells in New England, if I started the company with rye, I would not have a company,
Mm,
right? We buy rye at sorry bourbon at a ratio of 8 to 1.
yeah.
Eight bottles of bourbon to 1 bottle of rye typically is what we see, or at least that's what it was when I started the company. So went hard after bourbon, love bourbon, right? But as much as I love bourbon, rye has my heart. So, what I wanted to do with both of these rye releases was hopefully create something that was approachable for bourbon drinkers. These both blends are Both batches are 95.5 rye. These are both MGP, right?
Okay.
My control, which is crazy, and I know it's crazy, but like again, if you're gonna do something, you might as well try like shoot for the stars. My control was an old overhauled 11-year-old bib, 1951, 1962, right?
Hmm.
So obviously not 95.5 rye.
Yeah.
They were definitely leveraging heritage grains as well. And it like it was their old Broadford distillery in Pennsylvania, right? So I think for me, the Broadford distillery has more meaning than Stitzel Weller, right? I think they produce significantly better whiskey. And the rye that was pushed out of there during its operations were I mean they're modern marvels. Like I think they're absolutely exquisite. So I mean like that's what I wanted to sort of march towards. Um, but it's definitely one of those things where I wanted this to be approachable as well. Hopefully welcome across, various palates, bourbon, rye drinker, Scotch drinker, so on and so forth. And again, be able to stand up in a cocktail.
Yeah. No, it's definitely feels classic rye to me. We're getting several questions in the chat. Do you ship to California? Do you ship to Colorado? Do you ship like so?
Yep, yep. We
Okay,
ship we ship almost everywhere. I think there
okay,
are only 3 states we don't ship to, but yeah, all the states you mentioned we ship to.
okay, great.
Somebody asked, is there an age statement on this one?
This one is a minimum of
Minimum,
3 years as well.
yeah, yeah,
So this
minimum.
one will also be moving towards 4 years, minimally age stated 4 years. So what's also important, the reason why it's a minimum age statement is I do end up blending older stuff in to round out the profile. And it's one of those things where depending on the batch size, there's some really like crazy stuff going in, right? Like the cask strength bourbon had some 11-year-old on 95.5 go into it just to round it out, right?
Yeah.
So it's all about, again, creating the best product that we can. And if we need to sort of steal from Peter to pay Paul in terms of creating that profile, I'd much rather do that and release a single barrel at like 110 bottles as opposed to, 125 if it means that I'm making a batch for a core product that much better.
This is like like I was saying, really classic, but it's like you're not getting that young age statement. So that makes a lot of sense that you are blending something in there. It definitely has that salinity that hangs out and makes you want to have another drink. So I like that.
Cool. And again, 36.99.
Yeah, it's I mean, you're talking cocktail prices, Old Overholt and those ones, you're right in that same area. So that's great.
Yep.
All right. So one of the questions about your small batches is that are you trying to make a consistent product, or because you're sourcing from different areas, you're going with more of the feel of the product, and this is where we're going versus a consistent, like this is an everyday same product.
So if you were to compare all of our batches side by side, they all taste a little different. I would
Hmm.
argue that the progression from our first batch to of our cask strength bourbon to our current batch, and by proxy the first batch of our small batch rye at 100 proof to our current batch, um, is a journey through, I guess, maturation, if you will, right? But the maturation wasn't the whiskey, it was my blending ability, right?
Mm,
So like it's kind of like when we released our first batch, and like the Cask Strength Bourbon was our first product for the first year and change, we only had one product. Then we had like single barrels as well. But one core product, that first single barrel was the first small batch cask strength bourbon was absolutely awesome, and I absolutely loved it. And then I fell in love with the second one a little bit more, and then the third one a little bit more. And in each one, I think we get a little bit better in
okay.
terms of how we're blending. And now being able to control the process again from soup to nuts, I'm absolutely in love with marrying in, letting the whiskey marry in the barrel, like light blend when you dump, recask, let it hang out. Light blend when you dump again right before you go to filter and bottle. Like that is absolutely amazing. It's like one of those things where I want each batch to be a little different, but also a little familiar, right?
Okay.
Like it needs to they need to be they need to stand apart. That's why we number the batches. But also be something that people like look forward to revisiting. Still have like a similar note or have a similar body. But the profile just be a little different each time.
What I like about it is that it's not overly powerful in one direction. You're getting a blend of mint, you're getting a blend of tobacco, you're getting the eucalyptus. There's a lot of flavor to this. So well done.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I definitely appreciate it. The rise took a ton of time.
Mm.
I'm kind of embarrassed at like how much time they took.
I'm hesitant to ask Bob because Bob's not a big mint eucalyptus guy, but we'll see. What do you think, Bob?
I don't know if he's on.
Well,
Oh, there
like
he
I
is.
said in the chat, it's definitely a rye.
Okay. So
Uh,
Bob's fun. So
It's tasty though. It's tasty.
all right. So our next pour is going to be our American whiskey. I was excited when we were pouring these samples out. The American whiskey toasted French oak. This is 113.4 proof. I did not see an age statement, but it's the 2025 series. This is your number one on this series line. I was excited to try this one.
yep. So in like I guess the industry, this is called an LTO, an unlimited time offering.
Hmm.
So this was the first time we did anything like this. So this is a 7.5 year American whiskey. The mash bill is 8488.
Hmm.
This is a Kentucky whiskey. It went into virgin barrels and like it was finished with medium toasted French oak. So and I love what French oak brings to the party. I'm also a massive Armagnac fan as well. So yeah, I was like looking for something cool to release last year during Q4 during the holiday season and tasting through a lot of the special projects that we have going on. This was definitely the one that sort of like stuck out to me. And it was one that, over the last few months between holiday parties and get-togethers with friends and family, we've consumed our fair share. So yeah, a big,
So
big, big fan of this one.
is this a single barrel or a small batch?
Oh, this is a small batch.
Okay,
This is
small
a small batch.
batch.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, we were right around 1,100 bottles on this one. Yep, with the vast majority going to New Hampshire. New Hampshire pulled in 720 bottles of that.
When I when I was pouring these samples, I didn't taste. I just sniffed it. I was like,
Oh wow,
okay.
okay.
Yeah, I was
Good for
disciplined.
you.
Todd's a tough boss, so um no, it was like
How
I
long was
smelled
this
it.
finished?
For about 13 months.
Wow.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So I again like there's religious conversations that can take place within the space, right? Depending on the barrels and how they are coming together. So obviously 1,100 balls is more than a barrel, right? So multiple barrels. So depending on how the profiles are coming together, some can go longer, some need to be toted out, right? And then finally blended, right? And I'm a big fan of inert gas, argon, CO2, to minimize oxidation when you're holding whiskey for an extended period of time, right? But some of the whiskey, in this blend took 3 months. Some of it took 13 months, right? Actually, no, some of it took 11 months, and then everything came together for a couple of months before we ended up filtering and bottling.
there was a question
And
in the
how
chat.
often, sorry, how often do you try the barrels to see where they
So
are?
since my doctor's not on this call, no, I mean, it all depends, right? Like one of the most interesting things that I found is I drink significantly less since I started the company, right? Because it's like I'm working, right? Whereas like beforehand, I would have like 2 ounces a night or so, just to go through samples that people, send me, or bottle splits and what have you that I did with friends. So for things that are finishing, I taste a whole heck of a lot more often than the straight whiskeys, right? Because
Smart.
the changes to the straight whiskeys typically take place, after each season, right? As the whiskey's either going into the wood or coming out of the wood, right? Whereas with your finishing cask, you need to taste those pretty regularly, especially if you're finishing with a very strong flavor. Um, I'll use Aberana as an example, right? Because
Yeah, for
it
sure.
became somewhat ubiquitous. Like we are not finishing with like Amberana. Like I think that ship has sailed. As much as I love cinnamon, I think I'm done with Amberana. That's just me personally. If you love Amberana, like more power to you. But like those barrels, you need to taste pretty frequently, right? Um, I love playing around with different whiskeys and finishing bourbon and rye. Rye in particular, I think rye is a better finishing whiskey than bourbon, unless it's a high rye bourbon. A high rye bourbon I love working with, or like a barely legal bourbon. But if we're talking about like a super low rye bourbon, 80, 84, 85% plus, plus 84, 85% corn, um, you need to really, really taste it. Your margin for error with bourbon, especially with a low rye content, is super, super narrow.
Mhm.
It could be mainly because like corn is sweet, right? So if you're finishing with a cast that imparts any level of sweetness, you can overshoot the mark in a big way, and it's very, very hard to dial it back, right?
Mhm.
Whereas with rye, I view rye the same way I view like vanilla ice cream, right? Like at an ice cream bar, you can do whatever you want to do with rye, and it's super, super forgiving. But if you hit it and you hit it right, it's absolutely amazing.
So there was a question in the chat. What makes this an American whiskey?
I did not go into charred barrels. Like that's basically it, right? So when I acquired this, it was through another entity that I'm a part of. Um and it was part of the holdings of that company. That company made the mistake, which ended up helping us, of not putting their this distillate into charred American oak barrels, right? Because if they did, this would be a bourbon,
Yep.
right? But because they did not, because they put it into virgin oak barrels that were lightly toasted, very lightly toasted, it became an American whiskey, which also meant that it allowed me to negotiate a significantly lower price to purchase these barrels because they weren't as valuable. Bourbon was king. So that was really cool. But also the profile of this allowed for it to take to the toasted French oak in such a like I think it's such a good way. Like I think the balance on the palate is definitely there, and I think it has like an insanely long finish as well, which I'm stoked about.
There's definitely a different feel with the toasted versus a char.
Yep.
And this definitely feels a little gentler. If you're somebody that hasn't tried a higher proof whiskey, this was 113. This would be like the gateway drug, I think. Like this is really easy to sip on. You're not getting that burn, you're not getting that heavy, you're getting warmth, you're getting flavor, but you're not getting that charred burn pepper. So I like it.
Yeah, I always say that like bourbon gives you that Kentucky hug,
Hmm.
like right here, right? This one gives you a nice solid pat on the back.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I like that. All right. Um, what's interesting, going back to the rye, there was a nice like viscosity to it on that 100 proof rye. There was a nice creamy viscosity. This one has definitely a different mouth feel, and it's definitely feels like bourbon without
Yep.
that burn. So yeah, I like it.
Yeah, so we will be releasing like the second part of the series is a medium toasted American oak release, leveraging whiskey from the same lot. So really, really stoked to get that out. That'll be later on this year as well.
So I know NDAs exist, but 8488, was that what it was?
84, 88. Yep.
So I know where that is in Tennessee. I'm not sure where that's in Kentucky, so I'll
Yeah.
have to
So
try to
so
research.
so this distillate was BBC,
Oh,
Bardstown
okay.
Bourbon Company. Yep.
They do a lot of stuff. So yeah,
Oh,
that'd be a
they definitely do, which is absolutely amazing. Like they are phenomenal partners. I absolutely love working with those folks.
So speaking of, do you have a tasting room in Kentucky or just in Boston or
Yep. So we are now just over. We're approaching 2 years in the distillery. Hopefully, the tasting will be done in the next, like, I'd say 30 to 45 days. So we really want to have New England Barrel Company be the home for the whiskey community within the Boston area because we don't have one, right?
yeah,
Um, this space has experienced a lot of change over the last, 3 years in particular. And a lot of craft distilleries have closed up shop. We want to be the home to the community because when I came up in the hobby in Boston, you would have like two or three people get together, right? Now we have a larger group of folks that are coming together, and I want to be able to bring like disparate groups together as well, right? I think that's super important, right? Because the more people have a chance to share a pour, make some memories, like share some laughs, like the better it is just overall for the whiskey community, but also just like the general population. Like there's a lot of noise out there, right? I
yeah,
want our tasting room to be a place where you walk in and you sort of enter that cone of silence, right? Aside from the fun times, the stories, the laughs, like things along those lines, right? Like check everything else at the door. Like if you when you walk in to have good cocktails, make good memories, and meet good people.
okay. Okay, so Tyler has a couple jump in, Tyler, please.
Sure. Yeah, real quick, James. Jamie asked, did you end up with any logistics issues storing your barrels off-site?
No, no. Like we have what's called a transfer and bond with all of the warehouses that we work with, so we're able to transfer or ship the barrels under bonded transport to our facility. So that's super easy.
Awesome. And then John is asking, with smaller batches, how much do you distribute versus sell online?
So we have full distribution in 6 states. Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Jersey, and Connecticut. Partial distribution in New York, parts of California, mainly NorCal, the greater Sacramento area, and then some key accounts that we work with down in like LA and San Diego, and then same thing in Florida. More so North Florida, Jacksonville, Amelia Island, Fernandina, and then some key accounts that we work with in Tampa and Orlando. But then everything else comes from um, our online sales and then working, one off with like different whiskey groups. So we've done barrel picks with whiskey groups, my God, like 20 plus states over the last 5 years. So it's like one of those things where, like, again, I like working with good people, right? Who enjoy whiskey and like to have a good time. So if I do something in Illinois, right, where we don't have full distribution, it's because there are groups in there that I absolutely love, folks I've gotten to know over the years, who respect whiskey, who treat their groups the right way, their membership the right way, and I want to make sure that again, I'm working with good people because like there's a ton of people who are just like super opportunistic in this space. And while I understand that, it doesn't mean that I have to work with them, right? I have to like you to work with you, right? Because otherwise it
Yes,
just makes my days longer.
yes, absolutely. Well, and I appreciate you doing this virtual tasting with us because that's how we got started. We are
Yep.
talking about doing a pick together, and we wanted to reach out to our community, our members, and say, what do you guys think? Do you love this? Do you want us to pick this? So now we get to move into the cast strengths. So
Okay, let's
our
do it.
number four is our cast strength, which this is more Todd and my flavor. So we are really excited about this, but I was not I was not disappointed with those 100 proofs. That was nice. So our
Okay,
first
and
one,
oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Oh no, I just want to make sure that was the rye. It looks like the label.
No, no. So this is the bourbon cast strength.
Okay, cool. All right, awesome.
So this is 123.54 proof. Aged a minimum of 3.5 years. I can't see the batch number, but cheers.
Yeah, yeah, that's my poor handwriting. 20, I believe that. Yeah, so yeah, it's my poor handwriting. One of the key things here is, again, this one was a blend of Beam, Barton, and OZ Tyler. I will forever call them OZ Tyler, as opposed to
Yes.
Green River. I like both are historic distilleries in Kentucky. I love the OZ Tyler logo way more than than the Green River logo. So like that's and I love walking into like my barrel warehouse and just seeing OZ Tyler barrels. Like I just love that, right? My first barrel purchase was all OZ Tyler
Mm.
barrels. Like everyone like typically starts with MGP, and I was like, no, I love what these guys are doing, so I want them in my life. So yeah, but yeah, this was like this is a subsequent batch from the very first product that we ever released. Um, yeah, and I always say, I mean, you guys know, like you start drinking Cask Strength, training wheels come off at this point, right? Like it's all about yeah, nose, palate, finish, but it's how, in my opinion, like those three facets of like the tasting experience like sort of weave into one another, right? And does it tell a cohesive story, right? Um, one of the things that personally I can't stand is when a whiskey falls off at the finish, like a short finish. That is a whiskey that I can never revisit, right? And I have bottles that have been with me for like way longer than I care to admit because like they're good, nose is great, palate's great, but the finish is just so super short that I just can't I just can't deal with it,
That's
right? So
well
I
said.
wanted
It's still sitting right here on my tongue, like on the
yep.
front of the tongue. You're getting that peppery finish right there. Leaves that salinity where you're like, this is nice.
Yeah, and again, 56.99 on the like on the website. So,
So Cask Strength bourbon at $56 is where it should be. So well done. I
yeah.
like that. And you mentioned Green River or OC Tyler. Like that is something that we've done barrel picks with in the past, and we love their products. So this is blended really nicely.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. No, I like and I love the team too, right? So, it was really interesting watching the marriage between Green River and Bardstown Bourbon Company take place, right?
Hmm.
Because for a long period of time, I mean, like Bardstown Bourbon Company, like they wanted to be like the Napa equivalent for like a whiskey distillery. And I think they did a hell of a job, right? Doing that.
It's gorgeous.
And then you go to Green River
Yeah.
and it's like Timberland boots and overalls.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, and it was like seeing those two teams come together and how each culture impacted the other, I thought was absolutely magical. And they're and
So,
they're they're making great whiskey in both facilities.
all right. So again, going back to those religious questions, do you add any water when you're sipping your cast strength? Do you add ice? Do you just go neat? How do you do it?
So I'm predominantly a neat drinker, like as I have the
Okay.
neater cocktails, and I get this question a lot, especially like during our we have different events at the distillery, like a bottle yield event. I do a whiskey 101 where we walk new people to whiskey through various types of whiskey to just help them figure out where their palate is. So I get this question a lot, and I always say it's sort of like the same answer I give when people like eat food, right? Before you decide to toss some salt or pepper or whatever on your food, just taste it, just see what you're working with, and at that point, make your call. If you need to add some water, cool. If you need to add some ice, fine with that. If you want a chilled glass, cool. Like it's all good to me. Um, I'm past that point in like my maturation in the space as a consumer, where I'm like, oh my God, everything must be consumed neat. If you don't drink it neat, you're ruining the whiskey, right? But I also explain like the science behind it too, right? So a lot of folks who drink whiskey, especially Scotch, they're like, yeah, a drop of water opens it up, right? That is fundamentally incorrect. What ends up happening is you're changing the chemical structure of the whiskey when you add water to it. So if you add water to whiskey and you just like see it swirl, that drop like just swirl as it moves through the whiskey, what you're doing is you're separating alcohol and water molecules. Like that's what's taking place, right? So you're breaking esters and you're creating new esters. That is what is taking place. You're fundamentally changing the chemical structure of that whiskey, right? So if there's a point to that, there's a reason for that, and if that helps your palate, like enjoy the whiskey, I'm all for it. So long as you're
Yeah,
drinking whiskey, whether it's mine or someone else's, I'm good with it, right? Just drink whiskey.
exactly. So when we do our tasting notes, we frequently we start neat, and then we'll add a drop of water or two, see if it changes, makes it better, and we'll talk about that. We'll take a bite of chocolate, maybe. I mean, Bob will smoke a cigar. He doesn't add too much, but so yeah, so but yeah, it's fun to just kind of see what it does to the whiskey. But yeah, just wondering how you prefer your cask strengths. Do you think it improves with it or not? But it's all about the consumer. You're right. Just
Yeah,
enjoy.
and if so when a lot of people look to add water to whiskey, even like a couple of drops, what they're 9 out of 10 times what they're experiencing, it's a lot of the volatiles that remain when you pour whiskey out of a bottle, right? There's a super easy way to release the volatiles without actually putting water into the whiskey. And this is something that I've done with people like all over the country, just like showing it like during like in-person tastings, especially if we're doing like a bottle share or something at someone's house. You take this Glen, right? And all you need is like some hot tap water, and you just run the tap water on the side of the Glen and just twist the Glen. Like just by doing that, you're releasing most of the volatiles without actually impacting the chemical structure of the whiskey.
Hmm.
So look at it as like similar concept as like when you buy a mattress, you're supposed to let that mattress air out for 24 hours before you lie on it, right? Just to like let all the gases and what have you like release from the mattress and not go into your body, your lungs, so on and so forth. It's the exact same concept. So if a whiskey is drinking too hot for you and you think you need to add water, just run it under some hot water for like 10, 15 seconds, like just on the outside of the glass, and then revisit it. And I'm willing to almost guarantee that it's significantly more approachable.
Okay, awesome.
Adding a cold stone or something cold, does that change? That changes it too, right?
No. So, well, I mean, it does because keep in mind, like, there's a lot of compounds in whiskey, including fatty acids, right? So when you chill whiskey, you are fundamentally muting the flavor because less of that is readily available for your tongue to taste, right? So you are changing the palate because you're muting it by just chilling it, right? Um, but once it warms up, like have you got like if you've done a barrel pick when it's like pretty cold, right? And you're drinking whiskey that's like
Yeah,
55, 60 degrees,
yeah,
it kind of sucks, especially if you don't warm it up in your Glen and you get the
it's like
bottle, like
like
you get the
this.
bottle, you're like this isn't what we tasted, right? That's what it is because everything is just so tight, right? So when I'm doing barrel picks or buying barrels and I'm in a rick house, well, one, I try my best not to like be in a rick house when I know the whiskey's gonna be like super, super, super cold. But if I'm hanging out with a liquor store or a group that has a pick, and it's like in I don't know like April, right? April's not super hot in Kentucky, right? And there are days that are still in like the 50s and 60s. I will spend a ton of time just holding and cupping my Glen to try to
Hmm.
warm up each pour so I get as close as I can to what that whiskey is going to taste like once it's bottled, right? Like I think that's super important. But I mean, again, just drink your whiskey the way you want to drink your whiskey. It's all good. Like there's no right answer for this.
So James, Todd and I did a pick at Jim Beam, and we
Okay.
were in January walking across ice going into the
Oh,
Rick House. So we know what you're talking about. That's cold. It's cold.
oh. I think they have the best tour, by the way, in all of Kentucky. I love the Jim Beam tour, and I've been on all of them, and I've probably been on the Jim Beam tour because of friends 20 times. Love the tour.
Yeah, that was a good time. But yeah, ice skating before the whiskey is not safe.
Uh, better before than after.
That's true.
So, I mean, I'm gonna say classic bourbon. There's a lot of flavor to this, a lot of caramel, some tobacco. There's um there's a lot going on with this, and so I like the blend on it. And you can't go wrong with Green River. I mean, I think they're making some really good stuff. So well done.
Oh,
And
appreciate it.
again, um, So Tyler, our local guy we work with a lot has this one available at high proof, right?
I
Tyler
think we
isn't
do. He
doing.
has a single barrel select for 49.99.
Oh, so not this one, single barrel, not this one.
I correct, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, definitely DM me over what barrel that is. I'm curious. When you have a chance, or not, you don't have to.
Yeah, we'll send it over to you.
Put in the chat, yeah.
All right, 119.38 proof at high proof. And that's at $50 for a single barrel cast strength. That's ridiculous. So yeah, this is excellent.
Yeah, the nose on that one was fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so our fifth pour tonight is going to be our cast strength small batch rye. This is aged a minimum of 3.4 years. And
Jay, actually, we're on the bourbon next.
nope.
Rise last.
Oh, well, so we have the cask strength rye, then we have the single barrel rye.
Yep, this is number 5.
Oh, sorry.
That's why I'm
Typo.
in charge, Tyler. Okay, so number 5, cast strength rye. This is 118 proof, point 26.
Yep.
I need better lighting out here. It's getting dark.
No, it's all good. Yeah, this was our very first cask strength rye release, like from a small batch standpoint. So our first blend. This one, like everyone says, so what's your favorite? This was it. Like this is what I absolutely love, like about making whiskey. So the journey to get to this bottle was more than 200 iterations of samples, right?
Mm,
Just trying to figure out what the body was going to be, and then how to begin the process of layering different whiskeys on top to round out the profile. So this was a journey. This journey took 6 months, start to finish. It took 6 months. There was no cutting corners on this. I'm known as a rye guy,
mhm.
and if we were going to release a rye, I wanted this rye to stand up to every rye that was on the shelf, right? And in order to do that, I walked into my local New Hampshire liquor outlet with a cart and I bought every single bottle of rye that was on the shelf and then called my accountant and said, "Hey, let me explain this to you before you see it," right? Because I literally wanted to make sure that this stood up to everything that was available from a profile standpoint, and then again being able to offer this up at 56 bucks, $57 was definitely key as well, right? So super proud of this. If all these whiskeys are my kid, this is my favorite.
Wow.
James, I tried that with my wife. She didn't buy it. That was all research, and we could write it all off. She didn't buy it, but
Well,
hopefully you had better luck.
one of the cool things, and I didn't even realize this, right? Like again, like I spent a lot of time talking to my accountant, and he was like, "You do know all of your alcohol purchases is R like it counts as R&D, right?" And I was like, "It does." So I get to write everything off, and I'm just like, "That is amazing." I didn't even realize that. I would have started this company 20 years ago if I knew that.
Hence the thing behind Todd right there. Um, all right. So you mentioned on the small batch or the 100 proof that you had some old Overholt, one of my favorites. Um, you had some influences here. So you bought everything. What were you going for with this one?
I mean, it was very similar, right? So I wanted to. I wanted to have a dusty quality at cast strength, right? So I wanted this to have some funkiness to
Hmm.
it, which I think it does. I mean, you guys tell me.
Yeah.
Wanted to have like a pretty robust mouthfeel as well, right? So not super oily, but full bodied, if you will. And then again, for me, like just like the finish has to be absolutely insane, right? And I love the finish on this one. So, this was a labor of love, like without a doubt. And it's something that I'm super proud of because I think it drinks. I think it holds its own with everything on the shelf. Like, and when I do tastings, um, even for non-rye drinkers, this is one that has a tendency to, stand up, and people take note of it.
So
So
did
you
this,
mentioned, sorry, Todd,
so
hold on
did
real quick.
this go into Manhattan?
Oh, this has gone to hundreds of Manhattans.
So did that influence like the way you made it? Because you
Oh
said
no,
that
no,
you
no,
like,
no, no. So I mean, like I'm a big believer that like similar to cooking, like cocktails are the same way, right? Like the better the ingredients, the better the outcome, right? The better the finished product. So if you start with a really, really good rye, and I prefer cask strength ryes, or cask strength like whiskey in all my cocktails, you typically end up with a better cocktail, right? So yeah, I mean like this is my go-to when it comes to Manhattans, and I'm a perfect Manhattan guy, half sweet, half dry vermouth, like in my Manhattans. So yeah.
So you mentioned that Dusty Funk. I mean, I was getting a lot of Wild Turkey on this, like a lot of that
Okay.
influence. So we've stood in Wild Turkey's Rick House. You get that Dusky Funk every time, and it's so gorgeous.
Yep.
So well done.
Oh, thank
And
you.
even Bob said this is good for a rye. So
Is
he's
that
hard
is
to
that like
please.
is that like a solid 8.5?
So if he says this ain't half bad, that's really good.
No,
So
James, that's a solid 8.6 for sure.
All right, I will take it. I will take it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to be the French judge, would you?
yeah,
This is
yeah.
good. This is a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He's our grumpy old man. So well
Well
done to
done.
impress him.
Well done.
Thank you.
Hmm.
So I
So
think it's also important. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jay.
go ahead. No, I was going to say Angela, one of our members here, is killing your notes. Like she's like putting notes on every one of these pours, and she's done a great job tonight. So thank you, Angela. You're doing well done.
Awesome. And I see the question from David and Lori. This was also MGP as well. So 95.5. Both of the rides were 95.5. In subsequent batches, we will be playing around with different match bills.
Hmm.
One of my favorite rye releases of all time is Booker's Rye. It's a top 10 rye for me. Probably top five. It's a top five rye for me. Barely legal rye. Absolutely awesome. So I'm playing around with lowering the rye content of the rye just to see how it comes together. But I want to do it in a systematic way where we're not just taking, a barely legal rye, multiple barely legal ryes and blending it, right? I want to take notes and profiles from a 95.5, and blend it with a barely legal rye, and then everything in between as well from a mash bill standpoint. There's a lot of fun that can be had, especially when you start going across distilleries and you're able to leverage the different profiles that those distilleries and the aging conditions bring to the finished product.
well, most of us can't afford or will never find that Booker's Rye. So when you get there, let us know.
That like so Booker's Rye came out in 2016, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And it was a really expensive bottle in 2016. It was $300 on the shelf. New Hampshire got a
Yeah.
ton of it, and a lot of people weren't like buying it. So like, but everyone had access to the website, right? No online shopping though. So I had a lot of buddies reach out to me, "Hey, can you pick up bottles?" I remember walking into a store, and an older gentleman like was there, and I like who was working there. I said, "Hey, do you guys have this Booker's Rye?" He pointed at the standard Booker's, and I'm like, "No, no, no. This is like a green label. It's a special release." And he's like, "Let me go in the back and check." And he comes back out. He's like, "Yeah, we have 18 of them." And I'm like, "There's no way you have 18 of them." And he's like, "Yeah, we have 18." I was like, Nope, maybe eight, right?" And he was like, "No, we have 18. Do you want to come back?" And I was like, "Yes, I
Send
want to
it.
come back into the warehouse and see what you have in this magical place." So he brought me back, and they had 18. And I had a decision to make at that point, right? Because I came in to buy six, and people had like PayPal me money because like 2016, that's what you did. Like there was no like Apple Pay or anything. People PayPal me money, and I was like, I'm going to leave with these six. And that's all that I did. And then 2 months later, Chuck Cowdery named Booker's Rye as Whiskey of the Year. And it like that was like the pinnacle of whiskey at the time.
Oh,
I woke up that next morning and I immediately binned everything that I could find on secondary, right? because I knew that an hour later when everyone else woke up, they would clear the boards. And it was one of my favorite ryes, and I have consumed so many bottles of that over the years. Like I'm definitely a drinker, and to your point, it's one of those ryes that each generation of whiskey drinkers has a tendency to find, and they just keep pushing the price up and up and up and up. And I'll be shocked if Beam actually does another release of it.
Mhm.
But if they do, it's gonna it better stand up to it, right? It better stand up to it because that was an epic release.
Yeah, that was great. Okay. So we're moving on to our sixth and final pour. I'm going to
Cool.
finish my rye real quick. So, this is your single barrel that you sent us. We appreciate this. And this is kind of what we were getting at. Like, I want to hear from our members. What do you guys think of this? Is this something that we should pick? Is this something we should do? So I really appreciate you putting the skin in the game and saying, hey, is this something we want? Because that's what you're talking about. It's about transparency, it's about community, it's about great juice and talking about it and having fun. So thank you so much for joining us. Let's enjoy our sixth pour. This is our single barrel rye whiskey, American toasted oak, 133.8 proof, 8.5 years age.
Yep, and this
So
one is sourced from the now defunct Pennington or Speakeasy Distillery. They went by both names out of Tennessee. So this is a Tennessee high malt wheater. Okay, so mash bill on this bad boy is 60% corn, 22% wheat, 18% malted barley. Okay,
one more
this
time on
is
that. One more time.
yeah, exactly. I had the exact same reaction when I tasted it. I was like, what is happening right now? 60% corn, 22% wheat, 18% malted barley.
I have never heard that mash bill ever.
Yeah, yeah. So I love this distillery. I am so upset that I mean, they called it quits for all the right reasons, right? It was like literally all the right, it wasn't financial, it wasn't anything. They were just like, we've been doing this where we were really successful doing it. We're going to just like tap out, right? So more power to them. But like I tasted these things, like their distillate, and immediately fell in love with it, right? And being able to see how this whiskey has continued to evolve over the last 2 years since I've had it in our stocks have been absolutely amazing. And I think this is more because of the mash bill, right? This is a big beefy whiskey.
Yeah.
This isn't like a layman's whiskey. This is not a middle of the road bourbon, right? But what's really surprising is how this distillate takes to finishing, right? This is the most fun from a bourbon standpoint I've had finishing anything, right? So we've done medium toasted oak, we've done medium toasted French oak, well American oak and French oak. We've done Armagnac with this, and it is just so fun. It's like legitimately a fun whiskey to finish with, but it's also an amazing whiskey to just like drink in a on like just straight like as a straight bourbon. But like that mash bill is a very special mash bill. And it's one that I haven't seen either, right? A high malt wheated bourbon. It's just mind blowing.
It's really interesting. There's a lot of plum on this. There's a lot of there's a man, this is big.
Yep, and I think it's important to point out, right, from a single barrel standpoint, we source from all over the place. Like, I mean, we've gone through three different states. We've touched five different distilleries throughout this experience. And if I take a look at our holdings, like we have over 20 different distilleries are represented, and a lot of folks in the like in the NDP space, a lot of their stuff is MGP, and I absolutely love MGP. Our oldest like ryes are all MGP. I think a hyper aged, like 13, 14-year-old MGP rye, 95.5 rye is absolutely amazing. Like you can
Hmm.
you can hardly ever go wrong with that. But from a single barrel standpoint, it needs to be a special barrel, and I believe that If you want something to taste like a bourbon, you probably don't want a single barrel, right? Like a single barrel needs to play a little bit in the margins, a little bit on the edges, right? It needs to move away from that middle of the road a little bit, right? So you're experiencing different notes in the profiles, like maybe it's a little off profile, maybe it's presenting something that you typically don't get from a bourbon, but that you enjoy, right? Maybe it's accentuating a note that you really want to experience that you typically don't get to experience, right? That's the magic of single barrels, right? It's being able to find something that you just gravitate towards and you enjoy for its unique quality, but you're also happy to go back to it on a pretty consistent basis. So like I pulled samples. I'm doing a couple of barrel picks down in South Carolina this weekend, and in both panels, we have three different states of distillation, and four separate finishes, right? So I'm bringing five samples down to each group. Each group has two different finished barrels. Um, so four completely different finishes that were used across all of these samples, and then the straight whiskeys are just like all over the place, right? Because it's a matter of having everyone just like taste everything blind, and the group wants to pick what tastes the best, right? So whether it ends up being like a 5-year-old whiskey or it ends up being like a 12 or 13-year-old whiskey, they're all tasting all of this stuff blind. So they're going to pick whatever makes the most sense for them, which
So
I think is magical.
So you're getting a lot of love on this barrel pick, by the way. Like this single barrel is getting a lot of attention. Everyone's loving this thing. There's a
Oh, that's
lot of
awesome.
flavor bombs. Everyone's like excited. But what you were saying about the single barrel, that's how Todd and I pick barrels. It's that experience. Like, is this classic that thing? If it's a known
Oh,
whiskey, is it classic or is this a one-off special in a different direction? Let's try this guy. And so that's what we talk about every time we pick a whiskey. So this is wonderful, man.
Oh, and I 100% wax poetic on the high malt reader.
Mhm.
And it was Tyler who did correct me in the chat. This is a 95.5 rye, my fault. I was
Oh,
looking at something else on my screen. This is a 95.5 rye at 8.5 years old. Still Pennington, still speakeasy. We do have what's interesting about their distillate is both their 95.5 rye and their high malt wheater is very big and beefy and dark, which is awesome. That's like the calling card of this distillery. So when I do these types of tastings, if I don't have the actual bottle as opposed to the sample bottle, which is what I have in front of me now, yeah, it can get easily confusing between the two. But yeah, this is Tyler spot on. This is a 95.5 rye.
Okay, so is this one done? Like we can't get it anymore.
Oh no, this was actually on our website.
yeah, it's
Okay.
available.
Right. Yeah, yeah. So
It's
this is one of the ones that yeah, I just like sent over to you guys to, sort of experience. Like I think it's important to point out to like the different types of distilleries we work with, right? Because a lot of brands are just single threaded, right? They have a lot of X or they have a lot of Y, right? But being able to work with a myriad of different distilleries and also have really good relationships with brokers. So being able to like leverage primary source direct to distilleries to make purchases, and then secondary sources working with barrel brokers, I think is super important because it allows for um, a more diversified holding of barrels for us, right? Which allows me to cycle barrels through our single barrel program pretty quickly, right? So if we have anything in our single barrel program that doesn't get picked over the course of 2 quarters, it gets rotated out for at least another 6 to 9 months, right? We don't just keep the barrels in the program. If they're not hitting, if they're not getting picked, if they're not scoring like during barrel picks in the top two or three consistently, then something's going on with them, and we need to either figure out what that is and pull them from the program until they like mature to the point where they should be there, or we just pull them out completely and they're leveraged in our blends or special projects, right? I always ask for feedback. But right, whether like so when someone makes a pick, awesome. I'm stoked about that. But I also want to understand where the other whiskey sort of landed in the stack rank and
Mm.
why, especially the ones that were like if you get five samples, I want to understand what's going on with four or five. right? I like and those notes are tracked, so that we understand, what needs to be in the program and what needs to be pulled from the program.
All right. So, really enjoyed our time together. Thank you so much. I want to open up the window to everybody to ask questions to you. There's been a lot of questions like, how do I get this? So, what's the price? And so, there's a lot of interest in your stuff. So, please, everyone, fire away, or Tyler.
Think we'll hop on the chat questions, but I put in the link to this barrel pick on New England website. It looks like 89.99.
Come on, Jay, step up finally.
Me?
Put the order in.
Oh,
You're getting
you want me
fired,
to
Jay.
order it?
Sorry.
Okay, that's
Tyler's
fair.
getting fired. Sorry.
Yep. So one of the things that we kind of pride ourselves on is trying to stay as close to that like $10 a year age statement. That's been part and parcel to our business model from day one. What I love is seeing that the rest of the market is coming back to it because there's a lot of whiskey that's sitting out there, which is awesome from a consumer standpoint. But yeah, trying to stay as close to that like $10 a year age statement is sort of what we do,
Great.
especially for like sub 10 years.
All right. So, Tyler, anything else in the chat there? Anybody else? There's been a lot of chatter, so I didn't catch it all. So,
I want to say thanks for the passion. Thanks for explaining how you do all this because knowing how you go about it and the passion you put into it definitely comes across in these bottles. And like the
Thank you.
last three picks have been like amazing, amazing. With stuff that we can find in other products, and this one still tastes better than the other stuff that we like. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Well, that definitely means a lot. A lot of work, a lot of time goes into like what I try to put out. So yeah, that means a lot.
Can you tell us, do you have any special blends or special finishes coming that we should keep an eye out for?
So we do have a whiskey club. The whiskey club will be getting a Armagnac finished whiskey. That announcement goes out tomorrow to our whiskey club. So our whiskey club is typically about $150 a quarter. That's what it includes shipping as well. So keep that in mind. But that's what I tell everyone to like sort of like budget. This next release is gonna be sub $110 because I still have to factor shipping into the equation. But like we've done everything from a 13-year-old just it was like less than one proof point away from being hazmat. It drove me absolutely crazy. But it was a Armagnac finished Canadian rye. We did a 12-year-old 95.5 rye from our very first run of ryes. We did a 13-year-old small batch straight Kentucky bourbon as our Q3 release. And then yeah, we have this Armagnac finished whiskey coming out for Q1. So like that stuff is definitely cool. We have an amazing 20-year-old on the website right now. That one is at about $15 a year, so it's $300. It's yeah, I think it's absolutely awesome. Um, and I mean, it's just 20 years old, $300. So like,
so, so tell
I'm
us
good with it.
more about your barrel club.
Yep. So, I mean, if you just go to New England Barrel Co.com, up top, it's just the Whiskey Club. It's $0 to sign up. And basically, every quarter, you get an announcement saying, hey, this is the release for this quarter. You have, like 1 week, 7 days, roughly 5 to 7 days to opt out of it. If you don't opt out, you get the release. Um, and that's basically it, right? Like you sign up on the website, and you get communication directly from me. Uh, and we typically do a virtual tasting once all the bottles ship out, just so people have the ability to meet other people within the whiskey club. And that's been awesome because like I've seen connections form between people from these Zoom sessions where they end up sharing bottles with each other, right? Which is absolutely awesome. And we're also like highlighting other craft brands and distilleries just based on the conversation, right? So one of the things that I care about is making sure that we're shining a light on, some of these small distilleries. Like so Speakeasy in Pennington, unfortunately, like again, they're no longer operational, but their stuff is still out there, and I think it's super important. We have other folks within our barrel inventory that we're going to be highlighting as we move further into 2026. And I want to make sure that folks know who they are, where they can get their stuff, and like this is definitely an opportunity for. There is no competition in the whiskey space, right? Anyone who says that there is absolutely crazy. You guys, me, whoever is shopping, we're going to make our decisions based upon, what we've had with friends and family, like, and how packaging speaks to us, or what we hear on like Reddit or Twitter or Instagram or what have you. We're going to make our decisions, right? There's very little that a craft brand can do aside from getting in front of people and having them try their product, right? So it doesn't matter to me if I'm telling you that, again, /Norlando's a great, NDP. Buy their stuff. Absolutely. Detling, great, like producer. Buy their stuff, right? These are smaller players, like, but they make absolutely amazing whiskey. Right. And then you get into the mid tier of like Middle West or what have you, like Smooth Ambler, like they're still making great stuff too. So like definitely pay attention and show love from the craft to like the mid tier because like we're all not Brown Foreman, we're all not Wild Turkey, we're all not Sazerac or Buffalo Trace. We don't have those bankrolls, so I want to make sure that everyone is getting as much love as possible because the only reason that we're able to do all this stuff, the reason we're able to fall in love with single barrels, right, and have the experience that we do have is because of the groundwork that Kraft laid more than 10 years ago in this space. And now all the big boys have decided that in order to like maximize their profit, they're following what Kraft did. And if we get into a point where Kraft ends up getting crunched or killed,
Yep.
all of the innovation for an entire generation within the space is gone. And
Yes.
that would be the biggest disappointment as someone who loves whiskey, right? I'm super excited about what's next, right? Understanding like again how we use wood, right? In whiskey, we are 30 years behind the way wine, like the wine world, the way they use wood. The way we use wood is going to change the game exponentially, but it's not going to be the big boys who are doing it. It's going to be the craft players, right? So all that innovation is coming from craft, and if craft isn't supported, then the whiskey world becomes a bit more boring, and the light becomes a bit more dull.
James, well said, man. Thank you so much. Like you've been great tonight. Well spoken. You nailed it. So totally appreciate your point of view and everything you're producing. So we love finished whiskeys and trying those things and blended whiskeys. That is not an easy game. And you're done a great job. Your samples tonight were wonderful. Thank you so much. So I
No,
hope
thank you for having me.
yeah, man. Hope we get a meet up soon in Kentucky or New England.
Or
So
or LA.
yeah. Hey, you want to come out here? It's always warm.
That would be awesome. Can I just say, I'm just really, really happy to see someone like me in the whiskey space. So thank you so much, James. You are awesome.
No, I,
Thank
I
you.
I appreciate that. There are a lot of us, believe it or not, which is
They're
also
finally
really, really
coming
cool.
out. They're coming
Yeah.
out of the woodwork. I love it.
Yeah, and there's actually an amazing group. Paul Holmes runs it. He's based out of Orlando called Black Bourbon Run, which is like yeah, I love. It's absolutely amazing. It's a great group, and I mean it's a very diverse group too.
Had to say it. I'm sorry. I love it. Love you all. Okay, bye.
So James, if you are in California and we will have a large spirit showcase and I would love to showcase your stuff. I'll cook for
We'll
you. Todd will buy for you. You'll have a
we'll
good time.
we'll, uh, we'll send you the info. Yeah, it's about a 500, 700 person event, so we'll
Yeah,
send it.
definitely let me know. I do have
Cheers.
I do have a trip out to California planned. I just need to pull up the date. My calendar is hidden right now under all these tabs. So, but I'll send that out to you and definitely let me know when the event is.
Awesome.
Would love to come out.
That'd be great. So totally enjoyed this. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate you.
Oh, not a problem. I appreciate you guys and the time.
All right. Good night.
You guys have a good one.
I'm gonna turn off
Thanks,
the
James.
recording. Oh, Hold on. Cancel. This is why I need an IT team. Let's see
Dude,
here.
I can only do so much for you. Come on, man.